Surprisingly, over 90% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button. It motivates us to keep creating and helps us never miss an upload. And you'll never miss a story again. Roman Whitaker had lived a life he thought was the epitome of success. A steady job, a family that loved him, and a house that echoed with the laughter of children. But in an instant, it all unraveled. His wife, Natalie, had given him everything. But it wasn't enough. When he discovered the betrayal, it wasn't the heartbreak that hit hardest. It was the realization that his trust had been shattered, and worse yet, it had been destroyed by the very person he had trusted to fix their marriage. In the quiet of their home, where memories once filled every corner, Roman's world crumbled. Natalie, once the center of his life, became a stranger. Their therapy sessions, once a beacon of hope, had turned into a stage for deception. It wasn't until he followed her that the truth finally came to light. She wasn't seeking therapy. She was seeking solace in the arms of Dr. Elliot Monroe, the man who was supposed to help them heal. Roman didn't scream. He didn't lash out in anger. He planned. Roman stood in the kitchen, looking at the cluttered table covered with overdue bills and unopened letters. He couldn't remember the last time Natalie had truly smiled. It had been years since the laughter echoed through their home, the way it once did when they first got married. He tried to recall the last time she looked at him with anything other than indifference. The memories, once so vivid, had faded into a blur of pain and confusion. Natalie had changed. Gone was the woman who once wore his flannel shirts and laughed at his terrible jokes. The woman who had once braided their daughter's hair and shared the same dreams for the future. In her place was someone distant, someone he couldn't recognize. It was as if the woman he had loved had vanished, leaving behind an empty shell. The therapy sessions had started with hope. Roman thought they were making progress. But as the weeks went by, something shifted. Natalie became more distant, her eyes hollow, as if she was hiding something. The bruises on her arms were the first sign. She tried to pass them off as accidents, but Roman knew better. The night he cooked her favorite meal, hoping to reconnect, was when everything changed. She sat there, barely touching the food, her eyes focused on anything but him. When he reached out to hold her hand, she pulled away. Her response was soft, but the distance was clear. She was pulling away from him, emotionally and physically. Roman didn't sleep that night. His mind raced, but he didn't allow himself to spiral. Instead, he decided to do something he had never done before. He followed her. He had to know the truth. So, the next day, he called in sick and followed her to the therapy clinic. The parking lot outside the Lakeside Wellness Clinic was quiet, sun-drenched, and surrounded by manicured shrubs. Roman's heart thudded like a war drum as he crouched low in his car, parked a few spots down. Natalie had just pulled in. Sunglasses on, hair pinned up, casual but too careful. She looked polished, calculated, not like someone heading for therapy, but more like someone sneaking into something forbidden. She walked inside, passing the reception window without hesitation. A few minutes later, Dr. Monroe arrived, coffee in hand, wearing the same navy sport coat he wore when he smiled at Roman and said, "Marriage can survive anything if you both want it." Roman watched him stroll in like nothing in the world could touch him. But something was about to. Roman waited 10 minutes, 15, then he stepped out of the car, his heart hammering. He walked toward the building but didn't storm in. He moved like a ghost, unnoticed. A couple stood by the elevator. Roman took the stairs. When he reached the third floor, he saw it. Their shadows moved behind the frosted glass of Dr. Monroe's office. The blinds weren't shut completely. The door didn't click shut. A sliver remained. Just enough for Roman to inch closer. What he saw through that tiny gap made his stomach twist. Dr. Monroe's hand brushed Natalie's cheek. He leaned in, slow, practiced, intimate. She didn't flinch. She didn't freeze. She leaned into it. Their lips met. Her arms wrapped around his neck. Roman's mouth went dry. He didn't blink. He couldn't. Her hands, the same hands that once clutched his shoulders in labor, were now undoing his buttons. The same lips that whispered, "I do," on a sunlit hilltop, now kissed a man who billed them by the hour. Roman didn't kick the door open immediately. Instead, he recorded it. Shaky hands, furious breath, phone trembling but aimed right at the betrayal unfolding before him. He recorded until there was no denying what he saw. Then, he stepped back, clenched his fists, let the blood boil, and kicked the door open. The door slammed back against the wall with a crack that reverberated through the room. Natalie gasped and grabbed her shirt, eyes wide with guilt. Dr. Monroe stumbled, shirt half unbuttoned, his mouth twitching between apology and fear. "What the hell is this?" Roman's voice cut through the room like a blade. Natalie stammered, "Roman, I can explain." Roman held up his phone. "Is this what you call therapy?" Dr. Monroe stepped forward, hands raised. "Let's just sit down and talk like adults." Roman's fist found his jaw faster than words could form. One hit, clean. The therapist crashed into the desk, knocking over a lamp. Natalie screamed, "Stop!" "Roman, please, this won't fix anything." Roman turned to her, his voice sharp, teeth clenched. "I fought for us. I held this family together while you cried on his damn couch. And now I find out you were screwing him behind that fake diploma on the wall." She sobbed, reaching for him. But he stepped back, like she was poison. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered. "You didn't hurt me," Roman said coldly. "You destroyed me. And I swear, I'll make sure neither of you forget it." He walked out, phone in hand, evidence secured. But this wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. It was about justice. It was about revenge. And Roman wasn't going to stop until the world saw what they had done. The morning after the confrontation, the house was hollow. Roman barely slept. The kids were still at his sister's house for the weekend, blissfully unaware. That was the only blessing in the chaos. Natalie hadn't come home, and he didn't expect her to. The wine-stained tablecloth still sat in the dining room, a cruel reminder of the night he tried to win her back. Roman stood over it for a long while, staring at the untouched candle wax hardened beside the half-empty bottle of wine. His hands were steady now. His heart wasn't racing anymore. The rage had calcified into something stronger. Purpose. He opened his laptop and called the one person he never imagined needing. His divorce attorney. "I have proof," Roman said, before the man could even greet him. "Recorded footage. He's her therapist, or was." Within 24 hours, Roman filed an official complaint with the medical board against Dr. Elliot Monroe. The footage was undeniable. It didn't just show infidelity. It showed professional misconduct so severe that it made the clinic's board pale. They suspended Monroe's license pending a full investigation. Roman, meanwhile, filed for divorce. When Natalie finally returned 3 days later, she didn't knock. She used her key, walking in like nothing had imploded. Roman was in the kitchen, feeding the kids cereal. She froze at the threshold. "Roman, please," her voice cracked. "Can we talk?" He didn't even look up. "Not now. The kids are watching." Her gaze dropped to Ava and Parker, 6 years old, still smiling at the cartoons, playing on the tablet propped beside the fruit bowl. Her bottom lip trembled, but Roman didn't flinch. That night, she texted him, "I made a mistake. I didn't mean for this to happen. I still love you." Roman didn't respond. The next morning, another text. "Please, can we fix this for the kids?" Roman replied with a single word, "Lawyer." And that was when Natalie changed. She stopped apologizing. She started offending. Her new attorney spun a story so hollow it bordered on delusion. "My client experienced emotional abandonment," the attorney argued. "The infidelity was a symptom, not the root cause. Mr. Whitaker failed to nurture their marriage. But Roman had receipts, texts, photos, and the video. He wasn't just a man wronged. He was a father, protecting his children from the kind of deception that tore families apart." At the custody hearing, the courtroom was thick with tension. Roman wore a dark navy suit, no tie, his hair neatly combed. Natalie wore black. She looked tired. Her usual shine was dimmed. Roman took the stand. "She didn't just cheat," he said plainly. "She broke the trust our children depended on." She turned therapy, a place meant to heal, into a hiding place for betrayal, and she let it happen, knowing it would destroy us. Natalie wept softly, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, but the judge didn't blink. Roman's lawyer played the video. No amount of tears could undo the image of Natalie half-dressed in the therapist's office. When it was Natalie's turn to speak, she said, "I didn't plan this. I was overwhelmed. Roman worked too much. I was alone." But the judge cut her short. "Loneliness is not a license for infidelity, Mrs. Whitaker. Not especially when your children's well-being is at stake." In the end, Roman was granted full custody. Natalie was allowed bi-weekly supervised visitation. No overnights, no flexibility. Her sobs echoed in the hallway as Roman walked out, his lawyer nodding in quiet victory. But he didn't feel victorious. He felt free. Free from the web of lies. Free from pretending. Free from a marriage that had already ended long before he caught her. Still, Roman wasn't done. Justice was one thing, but revenge? That had just begun. Weeks passed. Natalie's name was no longer listed on the mailbox. Roman had switched the locks, blocked her number, and built a careful wall between her and the children. He didn't poison their minds. He told them Mommy was taking some time to get better, but he never lied when they asked why she wasn't coming home. Roman focused on rebuilding the home she nearly shattered. Morning pancakes with Ava and Parker became sacred. Homework at the kitchen island, evening walks, laughter started to live in the rooms again. Small, hesitant at first, then louder, brighter, but beneath the surface of Roman's healing, something else simmered. He didn't just want to move on. He wanted to make sure Natalie understood what she had destroyed. And more than that, he wanted Monroe to feel it too. Roman began planning. It started with a simple web search. Elliot Monroe therapist misconduct. An article came up. Within a week of the board's preliminary investigation, renowned family therapist accused of inappropriate relationship with client. License under review. But Roman wanted more than headlines. He wanted to end Monroe. Roman hired a private investigator. Subtle, efficient, expensive. The PI dug into Monroe's past like a bloodhound. The man had a reputation, overly friendly with certain clients, especially the vulnerable ones. No criminal record, but complaints were buried in HR folders. Nothing formal, nothing provable. Until Roman handed him the footage that changed everything. The PI reached out to two former clients, divorced women who had mysteriously left therapy under abrupt circumstances. With legal help and promises of anonymity, both gave sworn statements. Suddenly, the board didn't just suspend Monroe, they dismantled him. His license was permanently revoked, his clinic shut down. Civil lawsuits began circling like vultures. Meanwhile, Roman quietly bought the building where Monroe had once practiced through a shell LLC, just to twist the knife further. He turned the office into a children's reading center. The grand opening was small. The kids cut the ribbon. A local journalist covered the story. A photo showed Roman crouched beside Ava and Parker under a sign that read, "New Beginnings." The story went viral for its heartwarming message. But the real message? It was for Monroe. It was for Natalie. Weeks later, Natalie came back, tears in her eyes, standing at his doorstep. "You ruined his life," she said bitterly. "You destroyed him." Roman stood tall in the doorway. "No," he said quietly. "He destroyed himself. Just like he did you." "You used to be kind," she whispered. "You used to love me." Roman didn't answer right away. He looked back into the house where Ava was laughing from the living room. "I did love you," he said, "and I was kind, until you treated me like I was disposable." Her lips trembled. "I lost everything. You, the kids, my name. Everyone looks at me like I'm toxic." Roman exhaled, his anger no longer fire. It had cooled into steel. "That's not my doing." "That's your reflection," he said quietly. She took a step closer. "Are you seeing someone?" The question didn't sting like it once would have. He thought of Eliza, the woman from the bookstore, who had asked about Ava's favorite author. They'd talked a few times. Shared coffee once, no kisses, no flirting, just ease, safety. No, he said truthfully, but for the first time, I'm open to the idea of being with someone who knows how to hold loyalty like it matters. Natalie's eyes welled. So that's it? That's peace? Roman replied, You traded trust for temptation. I traded pain for peace. We both got what we reached for. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Only the creak of her car door as she slid in, shoulders shaking, eyes filled with things she could never undo. Roman didn't watch her drive off. He turned toward home, the porch light flickering on, warm and familiar. Inside, Ava and Parker waited with movie snacks and handmade cardboard crowns. As he stepped inside, Parker leapt onto him. Daddy, Ava said, you cheated at Uno. Roman laughed, deep and real, and kissed his son's forehead. I'll cheat better next time, he teased. That night, the three of them curled up on the couch in a fortress of blankets. Outside, the wind stirred the leaves into a gentle swirl. Inside, Roman finally felt still, not because the storm had stopped, but because he had learned to build shelter within himself. And for the first time in months, he didn't feel like something was missing. He felt whole. As the days passed, Roman found a new rhythm in his life. The storm that had once torn through his world had finally subsided, leaving only the aftermath. But in that aftermath, he found strength. His children were his anchor, and each morning, as Ava and Parker climbed into his bed, Roman was reminded of what mattered most: his family, his peace, and his future. Roman had always been a man of action, someone who thrived on taking charge and getting things done. But in the silence of the house now, he realized that some battles were best fought with patience. His mind wandered back to the first few months after the divorce, when he had been consumed with rage, planning every detail of his revenge. But now, as the days stretched on, the fire of vengeance had cooled into a quiet resolve. He had done what he set out to do. He had exposed the truth, and the consequences had been severe. But more than anything, Roman had reclaimed his life. His business was thriving, something he hadn't expected to be able to focus on amidst the chaos. He threw himself into his work with a clarity he hadn't had in years. His home, too, was taking shape again. The kitchen had become a place of laughter and light, the once cluttered counters now clear. Roman was rebuilding, not just his family, but his entire existence. Despite his healing, Roman couldn't escape the past entirely. Sometimes, late at night, he would think of Natalie, not with anger or resentment, but with the quiet understanding that they had both been broken by choices they made. And while he would never forgive her betrayal, he knew it was no longer the center of his life. One Saturday afternoon, as he sat at the kitchen table with the kids, a knock on the door interrupted the peaceful moment. Roman hesitated, his fingers pausing mid-stir as he turned to look at the door. He knew who it was before he even opened it. Natalie stood there, her eyes tired but not empty. She had changed in ways Roman hadn't anticipated. The once polished woman who had seemed so sure of herself now appeared uncertain, worn down by the events that had unfolded. Roman, she said softly, her voice steady but carrying a weight of guilt. Can we talk? Roman stood in the doorway, his posture calm but resolute. About what? She glanced behind him, at the children sitting at the table, their eyes wide with curiosity. The years of distance between them seemed like an ocean in that moment. I've been thinking a lot about everything. About what I did. And about you. He waited but didn't respond immediately. His eyes didn't waver from hers. I don't know what I was thinking, she said, her voice catching slightly. I was lost, and I made choices that hurt you and them. She motioned to the children. I know I can't change that, but I need you to know I'm trying to be better. Roman looked down at the floor for a moment, taking in her words. There was sincerity in her tone, but there was still that hesitation, that uncertainty. Was she really trying to change? Or was it just another attempt to salvage something she had already broken beyond repair? I don't know if you can fix it, Natalie, Roman said quietly, his voice firm but not unkind. But it's not about fixing it anymore. It's about moving forward. And I'm not sure I can do that with you. I'm not sure I want to. She swallowed hard, her eyes brimming with emotion. For the first time, Roman saw the woman he had once loved not as a reflection of betrayal, but as a person who had been through her own kind of suffering. I understand, she whispered. I really do. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. Roman nodded once slowly, but didn't say anything further. He knew she was sorry. He had heard the apologies, seen the tears. But sometimes, sorry wasn't enough to undo what had been done. The moment lingered in the doorway, neither of them speaking. Finally, Roman took a deep breath, his chest expanding as he let go of the tension that had been building ever since she had arrived. You can visit the kids, but I think it's best if we don't try to repair something that's already been broken. Natalie nodded, her face a mixture of regret and acceptance. I won't make things harder. I just wanted you to know I'm working on myself. Roman stepped aside, allowing her to pass, but the air between them had shifted. She wasn't the woman who had once torn his world apart anymore, and he wasn't the man he had been before. They were two people who had gone through something together and emerged on opposite sides, each carrying their own burdens. After she left, Roman returned to the table, where Ava and Parker were still eating their lunch. Their innocent chatter filled the room, and Roman couldn't help but smile at how they had managed to keep their spirits high despite everything. As the weeks continued to pass, Roman felt a peace settle within him. It wasn't the kind of peace he had once imagined when he was dreaming of revenge. No, this peace was different. It came from knowing that he had made the right decisions for himself and for his children. He had rebuilt his home. He had rebuilt his life. And as he watched the kids grow, he realized that the best revenge wasn't in the destruction of those who had wronged him. It was in creating something better, something that couldn't be broken, something that was his, and his alone. Roman had chosen to move forward, and with each passing day, he felt the weight of the past grow lighter. He had learned that sometimes the only thing you can control is how you respond to the world around you. And he had chosen peace. He had chosen healing. It wasn't easy and it wasn't always perfect, but it was enough. Roman didn't expect things to be perfect. No one's life was perfect. But as he tucked his kids into bed that night, their laughter still filling the house, he knew that everything he had been through had led him to this moment, this quiet, grounded life. And for the first time in a long time, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be.